efficiently use a Mule logger. We know that Mule logger is something very important in most of the Mule flow developments and has got a very great pivotal role in during debugging and during tracing of a particular message flow in a Mule flow. Now, I'll be showing you how to use Mule logger more efficiently than putting a default configurations, especially how to leverage Mule logger, making use of the Mule log4j2.xml. Now I'm just taking you to the studio. So I'll be just creating a Mule project and show you how to use a Mule logger effectively using log4j.xml. So first we are creating a simple Mule project. I'm giving it the name as log4j sample.lamp log4j.sample. Yeah, I'll keep it like that. Now I have runtime as API gateway and Mule server. So I'm calling for Mule server 3.7.1. So I have my log4j sample projects ready. I have my Mule configuration sample.xml available. Now, if you look into source main resource folder, you can see a default log4j2.xml. And typically, what we used to see is like the log4j is trying to write into a folder or a file which is by default all the flows which I define this Mule flow will be writing. Now, if I want to ensure that my flow, let's take a sample here. Let's say I have two flows, one here and the second one here. So flow and flow 1. Now, if I want to ensure that flow is writing to one particular log file and flow 1 writes into different log file, I need to write a specific set of configuration in log4j.xml and associate the same thing with logger. Now, I will show you in this tutorial how to do that, how to bring or make the logger effectively used using the log4j.xml. Now, for the time being, I'm just deleting this flow. Now, if you go to log4j.xml, you can see a section called appenders and you can see a section called async loggers. Now, it is based on this async logger that the default writing is currently happening. It mentions about the category here. The name what you give here, this is what you called as category in log4j. So you used to give it like org.mule, but by default we don't used to see this on the screen. So we generally put the logger and try to write the message into it, and we will be finding the logger writing into a folder which is the name of the application. Now, from where does this name of the application came? How does it know the location? The question to that here is what we see in appenders. Now, this is the answer for that question. This is the location it identifies and writes the log. Now, log4j sample, which I created here, the name of the project and the name of the log are same. By default, it generates in that fashion, and this section, what you see, is a Mule-based environment parameters which constructs the workspace location where the log has to write. Now, we can make it write in different location, whichever we want. Now, appenders and the type of appenders what we use is typically a log4j concept. So we have different types of appenders. We have rolling file appenders, we have JDBC appenders, we have log cutting appenders. So different types of appenders are available which you can actually put it into log4j.xml and use it. Now here what I'm going to use is create a particular appender which is again a rolling file but with a different name and different, say, name of the log file itself. So I'm going to do here is to change the name of the file to my logger. And I'm going to change the name of this thing, which is default was log4 sample. I'm going to change it to my logger.log. And this is the pattern in which it writes. So you might be seeing when you write a log, you have a pattern that is described, the file pattern in which it writes inside the file. So I'm going to define that one also as my logger. And coming down, what I need to do is to create a async logger here. For example, I'm going to define my logger async logger, and I'm putting this one here. Now, instead of the name which is given here as tracking, I'm going to give it as com.test.mylogger. It's always good to give the name of the category in a package which is similar to a Java package, which is more the best practice of putting a category name. Now I need to refer my async logger to a particular file. So the file which I'm talking about here is nothing but my logger. This is the file to which I want to write if it is calling this category. So I will explain to you how this category is referred. Right now I'm giving it as /async logger, inside which I'm going to use an append reference. So I have an append reference, and I'm going to use here my logger. My logger is the name of the rolling file appender, which I'm referring it over here, and this is the category. So now an async logger is now associated with an appender. Now let's see how I can refer this one into my flow. Now before going to that, I'm already setting the level as warning. So just to show you how we can control this category on by this configuration, I'm just setting it as warning, and I will show you what difference it makes. Now coming here, I'm adding a logger, and going here, I'm adding HTTP reference with 8045, and then giving it as logger. Yeah, I've saved. Now, before going to run this application, let's open the location in which I'm expecting the file to write. So here, if you see this logger, I'm just giving here inside the log for sample, and it is info, and there is no other setting. This is the default way we used to run our application. I'm saving it. I'm running it as an application. Okay, it's deployed. Now I'm going to the properties, and I'm taking this location. Now this location is where we can see in a studio version. If I want to see the log file, I need to go to this location. And I have .mule folder in which I will see logs. If I see, there are two log files created here, my logger, and there is something called as log4 sample. Now what these two files came from? We know that log4j.xml by default generates log4j sample. My logger is the one which I defined in the log4j sample just now using the new rolling file appended. Now if you see here, both are shown as 0, whereas log4j sample shows all the writings by the internal Mule runtime. So it naturally populates with all the log entries. Now let's run this application. So given as log4j5 log. Change in the small, change in the port. Okay, let's say 045. There's a small mistake here. So it's executed. Now let's see the console. What is written? So we have a console written here inside log. Okay, the small spelling mistakes is log4j sample. Now you can see by default it is written writing into org mule.api processor log message processor. If you go to the log location which opened just now, we opened, you can see here the log has been written here. Now the problem is I am writing the log into a file which is even the runtime is putting its own entries. So it's very difficult to track the flow level entries on which flow, what types of entries have happened, what point it has stopped. It's very difficult to debug. Now let's see how my logger is going to act here. So as I said, we have given entry called com.test.mylogger. Just copying it, keeping it over here as a category. Now here also, let's see what's happening. So it's auto deployed. Now let's go back and see. Now if you see here, I hit the service, but still nothing is written. Why? The reason is I have given for that particular category as warning. Now if you see here in my logger, nothing is written here because it's a warning. The setting is warning, and my setting for the logger here is info. So if say someone wants to see the exceptions or see the steps through which the flow was executing, usually we are not supposed to come back to the file, come here and edit the changes into debug or error or things like that, which is not the right way of doing. So what we will do is go to the log4j.xml, go here, which is a configuration change on the application end. So here we will see change it as info. Now just redeploying this application. Now this is not required when you are setting log4j monitor level interval. This is something which I'm not showing in this tutorial, but just to make you understand that you don't need a redeployment when you change the log4j.xml if you set a monitor interval. Now we have run the application. Now let's see how we can show you the intro. Executed. Now you can see the execution. And you can very well see here com.test.mylogger, which is the category which I created in log4j2.xml. Now let's go back here and see the logger, whether it's writing something or not.